The issue of women's liberation, feminism, women in the workforce, women really were never asked to question the validity of the male roles that they were given. And what I mean by this is that women's liberation has seemed to have this inbuilt an assumption that the roles given to men are somehow the correct roles, and you want to go and obtain these roles. You want to, in fact, become a man. But what does it mean in our capitalistic society over the past 200 years to become a man? Well, this means filling a bunch of roles that really do nothing except serve the very top of the 1% of society. In fact, being a man means that you self-identify yourself with your occupation and income, and you do not really identify much with who you are as a person, your ability to relate to other people, your ability to have positive relationships with others, creativity, and we can start going over a whole list of things that people should be doing with their lives. And instead, men are told your value as a person is the status of your job and the status of your income, and that for some reason, because you're a man, you have this inherent need to go out and compete for these things. This is absolute nonsense. Being a man does not mean that you have an inherent need to compete for status and income. This is a game created to serve, again, the very top of the 1% in capitalistic society, where all the wealth ends up getting funneled to. And what better way to control men than to tell them that their self-identity is the value systems that actually serve the people at the very top. Something else that we get out of this dynamic is that men are taken away from their family. Instead of having a father who is present with the family, you might have the weekend parent, or maybe the late evening, a little bit at the side parent. So men are not as present with their families as much as they should. There's a great video on YouTube by Gabor Mate, Hold On to Your Kids, where it talks about parenting and proximal abandonment, where you have people living together in the same household, but emotionally speaking, you don't have the connection between the parents and the child. So the way it used to be, say maybe in the 1950s, the way it was supposed to be, is that the mother stayed at home and had relationships with her children, but the proximal abandonment was just with the father. And then because of many factors, because of economic factors, you started moving more women away from the household and into the workforce. And then you have proximal abandonment between both the mother and the father and the children. So how is this women's liberation? You don't liberate women by dumping the social pathologies of men on women. You liberate women by liberating people, and that means removing the pathological gender roles which have been put onto men, and just restructuring society so these problems are not dumped on men. So there's this question out there of, should women want to stay at home with children and focus on that, or should they go out into the workforce? And what would women want to do? But what about this question? What would most men prefer to do? Would most men prefer to waste countless hours at some job which is socially worthless and technologically speaking unnecessary? Or would men prefer to spend more time with their families? Or would men prefer to spend more time doing whatever is actually relevant to their life? And that's the question that really isn't asked, because I think if you ask most people, they do not want to work on their job. They want to do things worthwhile. And if someone says, no, their focus is their job, then either they have some type of psychological issue going on where they never really identified a sense of self, they never saw anything worthwhile doing, and they have like this workaholic addiction, or they actually are one of the few people who have a job that is not so much of a job, but something that they enjoy doing that is worthwhile to them. For example, I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I don't call what I do my job or work. I hate that. It's just something that I do. I mean, I hate calling it a job because to me, it's not a job. So, but nonetheless, I wouldn't want to spend 80 hours a week doing it. Um, Other pathologies, if we look at war, it serves the people at the very top of society, those who profit from war, to tell men that it is their assigned gender role to go to war. So when you can have a war and you can have a draft and you can get all these men to sign up to kill other men somewhere else, and but instead of questioning whether this is something for men or if we should have women in the military, we should really question, is it healthy for a society to have the thing called war altogether? So male liberation would be getting rid of these pathological gender roles dumped onto men, such as a man, you should want to go to war. As a man, all you care about is competing and earning money. As a man, your self-worth is your income and the status of your job. You cannot liberate men by moving society in a direction that does that, and at the same time liberate women by dumping those pathologies on them. So this is a follow-up to my previous video. I really wanted to highlight the point that men are given very detrimental gender roles, very emotionally oppressive roles, and dumping those on women does not serve women whatsoever. And for that reason, feminism has really turned into an ally of capitalism, of our market monetary system. It has turned into an ally of the people at the very top of the 1% who profit off of the exploitation of all of us at the bottom. Years ago, there may have been a purpose for some of these gender roles when we had low levels of technology and we actually needed lots of human labor. But now most jobs are engaged in things that are socially pointless and, technically speaking, completely unnecessary. It's just a bullshit game that we play because people are expected to work, and our society is centered around this notion of the 40-plus-hour work week. And what we need to do is use science and technology for social concern and free people from the drudgery of work so that they are free to develop themselves, both men and women. Freeing them from work is people liberation. Okay, bye.